welcome to another episode of Beyond the Black Rims. I'm Mars Girl.
I'm Josh Knight the First.
Welcome to Season 4, Episode 1.5.
Or Episode 71, if you're counting.
This is us really getting geared back up into Season 4. We did miss last week for, I would say, they're pretty good reasons.
Fairly good reason, fairly important reason.
We'll expand upon that in a minute.
But it's good to be back.
Definitely good to be back. I'm
feeling
really positive about everything right now. Before we go too far, I want to say thank you once again, as always, to our patrons over at patreon.com/MarsGirl. And you've definitely helped us keep this show alive, other review series alive, and our Fami Kamen Rider movie project is definitely in full production at this point.
And as you guys might have seen on Twitter, at the end of the show tonight, we're going to debut our first screenshot from the movie itself.
I'm really excited to share that one with you guys, so that you can see we definitely have, in fact, been working hard and making good progress.
Yes. So what's going on?
Well, in other news, we're finally giving out information about the MagFest Nerf War yet again.
Actually, we were lucky enough to see, thanks to a tweet from us from Royal Lance, that apparently MagFest themselves put out basically a hype video for the convention, and our event was featured as one of the awesome things that happened at MagFest.
Very briefly, yeah, and it's kind of funny because the Nerf War is not an official event. It doesn't get on the schedule. We work kind of in between other, say, Channel Awesome schedules and such.
That way, because as it turns out, most years, a fair number of other personalities from That Guy with the Glasses show up and participate. And, of course, it wouldn't be right if they couldn't participate, too. So, yeah, we make room for everybody, for maximum capacity for people to be shooting foam darts at one another. Yeah,
so we know it's going to be taking place during MagFest, of course. And we never really know until the schedule is released which day specifically.
Generally, it's on a Saturday, is usually the way it's been going.
Typically, yeah.
Typically.
Today we ended up purchasing some new weapons, actually, because Target, as usual, Target's almost always the place to go for particularly good Nerf sales.
Yes.
Almost always.
And I got this one right here. I didn't bother learning the name. I don't care about the name. It's the Target exclusive from the Zombie Strike line. Got a removable scope there. This thing's really surprisingly light.
It looks like a light gun from...
Looks like a tranquilizer dart gun to me.
Well, I'm saying it looks like a light gun from any home video game console, first-person shooter, rail shooter kind of gun, but it's even lighter than that.
See, it's a pretty straight shooter, but you, on the other hand, you like a lot of power in your guns. So look at this monstrosity that you got.
I don't even know if I can get it all, on camera. This is the Thunderbow, which shoots mega darts, and unlike most other bows that Nerf had released prior to this, and unlike, I think, maybe one other Rebel bow, it actually functions like a real
drawstring bow.
So you pull this back. I'm not going to pull it all the way back, but you can give it some really good pull. You know what? I'm going to pull it all the way back. I'm going to pull it all the way back and
just be careful.
Fire into the kitchen. And
okay,
it's in the kitchen right now. It'll live there.
I'll just say I found out firsthand how much it sucks to get hit with that in certain areas I won't mention.
That you can figure out.
Just yeah, about that.
Sorry, it was an accident. And then
I know it was an accident.
It holds 5 darts down the front of the barrel, as you can kind of see here. So every time you pull the string back, it takes the next one. So you kind of have to adjust for that. You have to continuously start tilting it up to get the right arc that you're looking for.
Right.
But man, if I can fit this into my luggage to take to MagFest, then that's exactly what I will be doing.
Actually, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to copy the link and post it in the chat here for anybody who wants to pretty much officially sign on. We make a Facebook event for this. That way you guys can keep abreast of when exactly we're doing the event, who's bringing what, things of that nature.
Right.
So if you guys want, go ahead and take a look at that. It's an open event. Invite people. If you're coming out to MagFest, it's usually pretty fun.
All right. So I think we should probably at least talk about the stories that we will be talking about here a little bit later on in the show.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and do that. For starters, we want to discuss a game that's being kickstarted called Last Year, a 5 versus 1 multiplayer game that is in the style of traditional horror movies, where 5 of you are going to be survivors and 1 of you is going to be a killer. And it looks really creative and fun.
Then our second story tonight is going to be Neil Blomkamp's third film, Chappie, which has been teased for a couple of months now. Now we finally got our first look in this new teaser trailer that shows some of the characters and what we're going to be watching in that particular movie.
And then finally we'll be discussing a new game that Blizzard has unveiled that they're going to be going into beta in early next year. A game called Overwatch. It looks like a team-based first-person shooter. Looks relatively entertaining with a lot of character to it, so we'll be discussing that here a little bit later on in the series. And in the show.
In the show, yeah.
And then, of course, we do want to wrap up by talking more about the Fami Kamen Rider movie project.
At length, we'll release more information about that later, but definitely that picture.
Mm-hmm.
So, first and foremost, we want to get to our follow-ups. That's
right.
what we do. We do follow-ups. So, I guess the most popular one, the most recent one to talk about is over the weekend, most people had a choice of what movie they wanted to go see in theaters. They could either go see Disney's Big Hero 6, or they could go see Christopher Nolan's Interstellar.
Or both, if you're balling like that.
If you're balling, we're not balling like that. We had to choose. But as it turns out, there was a winner, just barely edging out. Interstellar, Big Hero 6 came out as the top movie of the week, just barely beating it out by a few dollars.
A few dollars?
Well, not a few dollars.
Oh my god! Well, like $1 million.
Well, yeah, pretty close. But they both got within about over the 500. Not 500. What am I saying? $50 million mark. So they did both fairly well. Those are box office hits by those numbers.
Which is kind of sad to think. Well, what if they didn't have to compete with one another?
See, I was bringing this up earlier when I found out that they were both opening on the same day. It's like, why would you do that? You both could have banked so much harder that, why would you just give yourselves unneeded competition? If you had waited a week, that might have made all the difference for you.
I thought, and we went to see Big Hero 6, and I'm not going to say too much about it, other than there's a lot of people who love it. I actually was just okay with it. I was expecting to be hit emotionally a lot harder than I was, and I'm not going to say that element isn't in the movie. It's definitely there, but I think the animated short that came before it was a significantly...
Beast, yeah, with that little...
Boston Terrier, yeah. They call him Winston. Adorable little movie, and I almost think that was a better, more succinct little story than the whole of Big Hero 6. And again, Big Hero 6 was not to say it was a bad movie, although I had problems with it. We can probably talk about that in post-show.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in the post-show. Now, granted, we haven't seen Interstellar yet. Hopefully we'll see it within the next week or so, but that's been getting great reviews. Even Neil deGrasse Tyson, who will take a movie like Gravity and just tear it to shreds like, oh, this wasn't accurate and that wasn't accurate, loved this, and he complains about everything. So maybe there's something to it. I mean, I don't really go by his endorsement, per se, but that seems like
that is interesting.
An interesting movie. But, there's the story there. The other follow-ups that we have, an interesting story on the... we've reported before about, DC announced their upcoming movie lineup. And apparently they are going ahead with casting for the Suicide Squad movie. And two big characters, I should say, were named, and as far as I can tell, these haven't been absolutely 100% confirmed, but, that it's out there. So, first one being Margot Robbie, who people would have seen in The Wolf of Wall Street, and was apparently up for the role of the Major in the Ghost in the Shell movie for DreamWorks, has been offered, reportedly, the role of Harley Quinn. Now, would she make a good Harley Quinn? I don't doubt it. That you have to take this into account. With the exception of the very low-budget WB series Birds of Prey, Harley Quinn has never really been done live action, unless you want to count like that one Easter eggy showing in Arrow last season.
And
but
Birds
really,
of Prey really wasn't a very good example of that.
no,
either.
it wasn't. No, there was a lot of things wrong with Birds of Prey. That's why the whole series is only $10 at Walmart.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the
sad.
biggest thing. The other thing tied to it is that Jared Leto was apparently up for the role of the Joker in Suicide Squad, which to me, that can go one of two ways. Either one, okay, it's a whole new ball game, new movie universe, we get to set up a new Joker. That's one. But the other side of that is that, well, you can't outdo Heath Ledger's performance.
Right.
Now, mind you, Jared Leto is as well an Academy Award winner for his work on Dallas Buyers Club this past year. So, does he have the chops to do it? Looks like.
I don't know what this Dallas Buyers Club
It was this
is.
movie with Matthew McConaughey, cancer guy, in that.
I
he's selling-
vaguely... I
From
don't
what my
know
brother
movies
told me,
like
it was a
you do.
good movie. I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, okay.
But point being, is he the guy to be the Joker? Now, again, with any casting, you got to take it with a grain of salt. Like, yeah, we want to get mad. Like, oh, they're not the person I thought of in my mind would be the ultimate person to play this role. So yeah, you take it with a grain of salt. But by that same token, you can't confirm that it's him yet.
Mm-hmm.
So could he be? Could he potentially be? Yeah, but you could say that about a lot of actors. They could potentially be. There's just very few castings nowadays where you say, no, that's absolutely them. I don't think since like Chris Evans getting Captain America or Robert Downey Jr. getting Iron Man have you been like, no, them. When they got casted, that sold me on the movie.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So, we take that with a grain of salt. Hopefully we'll get more confirmation on that fairly soon. The next other major thing, by now everybody's heard about this, Star Wars Episode 7 now has an official subtitle. It is no longer Episode 7, it is now Star Wars The Force Awakens.
So they've dropped the Roman numeral.
It would seem that they've officially dropped the Roman numeral. It's just Star Wars The Force Awakens.
Maybe this is really silly, but isn't it, to me, I just feel kind of concerned about the dropping of the Roman numeral because that's like dropping the idea of the very concise linear storytelling of this set of...
Right.
I suppose then that would indicate that a break away from the Skywalker family, like that's kind of the picture I get in my mind by dropping the Roman numeral is, alright, shifting focus entirely, we're no longer on this line, this easy to define path.
Well, you think about it, and I get your reasoning, but by that same token, this is still going to have at least one Skywalker in this movie, because Leia, by this point, she's solo.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's the best choice. I know a lot of people echo that sentiment that really, no, we should keep it Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens.
And then the subtitle, The Force Awakens, I don't have a huge problem with it, but it's like, The Force Awakens, but where did it go? Did it lie down for a nap? I mean, yeah, there's this point in Star Wars history where there's not a whole heck of a lot of Force users, or if there are, they don't really know what they're doing.
Right.
But I'd say by the time Luke starts getting trained, Force has awakened.
Yeah.
And
like, the Force is up. The Force has at least been getting up. And
Yeah,
if it's real time, it's been 30 years... Then you think about it like, no, by this point the Force has gotten out of bed and put on pants, By this point, for the Force, it's like 4 p.m. They've done something with their day, Yeah. Or did the Force go back to sleep? Did Luke go back to sleep? Like, what? That doesn't tell me too much incredibly about the plot, which is really what we're hungry for at this point. We know they're done filming. We've got this subtitle now. Now we need some footage. Come on, Abrams. You've got it. Give us something. We're almost a year out now, right?
Well, yeah. Well, I'm telling you, there's definitely going to be stuff by Star Wars Celebration in April.
Yeah, coming next year.
It would suck to have to wait another 4 or 5 months for that, but come on, definitely by the Star Wars Celebration. They're going to save something for that.
Well, I would hope we get something a little sooner than that, because I'm getting kind of sick of waiting, just to say the least. And then another piece of update news, we've been talking about the Fantastic Four movie update, and how apparently they're taking a drastic turn away from the comics, and people thought, well, okay, if they're turning away from the regular continuity of Marvel, then that means they're going for more of the Ultimate route. Okay, fine. But now we've gotten word this week, coming from the guy playing Dr. Doom, Toby Kebbell, that they're going in a very different direction, that apparently Victor Von Doom is no longer Dr. Doom's alias. He's now Victor Dumashev. He is a...
What was wrong with Von Doom?
I don't know.
I mean, either way, you've got Doom in the name, and it's like, oh, don't trust the guy with Doom in his name.
Yeah. but then, one, they've changed his name. Two, he's not the king of his own country, Latveria. He is he's a blogger and a programmer, and where he gets his name, as if it wasn't obvious enough that they kept Dumashev, still Von Doom, same difference. He posts online under the screen name Doom.
So he's trying to be obvious at this point? It
Like
already sucks that your name is Von Doom.
I'm thinking about it, okay, I get it. Dr. Doom's job primarily is to troll Reed Richards, but do you have to have him literally troll Reed Richards?
Uh-huh.
He's got, I hate the Fantastic Four.tumblr.com. Is that really...
If somebody doesn't already have that username, by the way, I
this
would be
point,
shocked.
it's is that really what you want, Fox? Is that what's happening?
It's what it's
Is that what's hot in the streets right now?
In the streets?
I don't know. What demographic are they trying to appeal to, making him a programmer and a blogger?
Well, the programmer part, he can be a programmer if he wants. I don't know about the blogger part, though.
Well, yeah, because it takes... Just that description alone takes away from the majesty that is as good a villain as Dr. Doom.
Uh-huh.
And for as much as people get after those earlier Fox movies, I don't discredit Julian McMahon's performance. He did what he could with those scripts, just like some actors have to.
Yep, you do what you can when you're handed crap.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's neither here nor there. And then the last thing we wanted to talk about, and it's a fairly big thing when you think about it, for the last, 2-3 weeks, Crunchyroll has officially been putting subtitled episodes of Ultraman Max, and now Ultraman Leo, and Mebius up on Crunchyroll for people to watch. Official, licensed, subtitled tokusatsu, people.
Which I think is absolutely fantastic. Now, Ultraman is run by the production company Tsubaraya.
Yes.
So they're in a completely different production studio from Toei, who does Super Sentai and Kamen Rider. We're, of course, getting Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger on DVD
in February from Shoutbox.
Shout Factory.
Or Shout Factory, yeah.
Shout Factory. Which,
we're on Hitbox, that's Shout Factory, yeah.
Their cover art for that DVD box looks kind of stupid, but, at least it's legal and you can get it, and it's not Power Rangers, which is not to knock on Power Rangers. It's that, we're actually finally getting Super Sentai that we can legally purchase and not watch for
and the pre-orders are up on Amazon now.
And the pre-orders are up. So, things are looking better for fans of subtitled television airing tokusatsu. Really, Ultraman has had the best history in the United States.
All things considered.
All things considered, yeah. Because the original Ultraman in the 1960s got a 1960s U.S. English dub, and that English dub wasn't perfect, and some names were changed. It was a little for kids, I guess, but in the grand scheme of things, it was pretty darn close to its original source. So, like America's familiar with Ultraman.
Right.
We've recently got DVD releases of Ultra Q. We got re-releases of Ultraman on DVD, Ultra 7.
Yes.
I'm trying to think. I was almost positive we had gotten something else.
Well, actually, no. There's that Hawaiian company that's releasing Kickhider.
That's true. There's a Hawaiian company that's releasing Kickhider. A Hawaiian company released, Kamen Rider V3, and they might have released one other as well, but I can't remember which one that is. I looked this up a couple years back. But because it's a Hawaiian-only company and it's not a very wide distribution, their DVDs are super expensive. It's real stupid.
Yeah, 100 and up.
So you can get that legally English subtitled, but it's really hard. So Kamen Rider still is not seeing nearly the success that Ultraman has had, and really, it's looking like Super Sentai is going to be slowly creeping up, depending on how well Zoo Ranger sells.
That's the hope, at least from most fans' aspect. If Zoo Ranger does well, and even Shout Factory said if it did well, then the next logical one that they could see themselves putting out would be Die Ranger, which would be nice because that would blow fans' minds over here who would never...
Who had seen the Power Rangers adaptation.
Yeah, who never would have imagined, wait, there were different suits that went with the Thunder Megazord? What?
Yeah.
That would blow people's minds, and hopefully we'll get that chance once those DVDs come out. But yes, getting back to that, Ultraman up on Crunchyroll now. You can watch for free. Granted, there's a lot of ads unless you've got the premium account, but still worth watching. Okay, so that having been said, let's get to our first story.
I hope that, that was the right picture. Okay.
Hooray. So, what we have here to show you guys is a Kickstarter project out of Canada, if I'm not mistaken.
It's looking like it, out of Canada. And the name of this project is called Last Year, and it's a 5 versus 1 multiplayer survival horror. They've got just barely over a month left to go. I guess Josh here has posted the link to this particular Kickstarter. And they're not particularly far into their Kickstarter. They've only raised a little over $5,000, and that's Canadian dollars. Granted, there's not actually a huge difference between Canadian and
with
US
the
dollars.
Exchange rate. So
the
basically,
exchange rate is almost exactly the same. So yeah, they've raised a little over $5,000.
They're a tenth of the way there.
They're looking to raise $50,000. So, but they've still got 35 days. So it could be okay. I think the concept is really interesting. It reminds me a little bit of Left 4 Dead 2, where you had 4 party members, of course, all trying to stick together and survive. And in Versus mode, you can play as one of the special infected and try and take out the survivors.
Right.
So similarly, this is based on like your horror movie kind of feel.
Right. They specifically credit Friday the 13th and Cabin in the Woods as their jumping off point. Like, okay, we're going to take this idea and expand on it to make it more of a accessible video game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the way this works is that you've got your group of 5 stereotypical horror movie survivors.
Like, very, very stereotypical. It might almost piss you off they're so stereotypical, but I think it fits for the sake of trying to fit into a movie kind of a feel.
Right, which is kind of the callback to Cabin in the Woods that they're going for here.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, you've got the popular girl, the jock, the nerd, the other less attractive girl, and the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
Most that you would see in a horror movie. But here in the video game, they each have a different thing that they bring, a special skill. For example, the other less pretty girl is the medic. If you ever get attacked by the killer, she'll heal you back up to maximum health.
She's very Girl Scoutish, really.
Yes. The jock, he's basically the tank. He's going to be able to do the most physical damage to the killer. Then you have the pretty girl who has the capability of marking where the killer is on your map and her map, so that way you guys know where to stay away from.
Mm-hmm.
And then in particular, if you look at the descriptions here, the nerd character, in his own way, he's got the least amount of hit points, but he's the most overpowered in a way in what they made him capable of doing. He's able to fix phone lines, pick locks, hotwire vehicles, and has a pet rat that you can use to spy on other rooms.
Oh, you can use the rat?
You can use the rat, too.
Oh, I didn't even notice that part.
Yeah, he basically acts like either a spy cam, like, say you're not sure the killer's on the other side of the door, send the rat in.
How would a kid be able to see what his rat sees?
Don't ask. I
Okay.
didn't write. You'll have them explain it.
Okay, fine.
But basically, he can either tell you, chirp, 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 hey, the killer's over here, or, if the door's locked, the rat can pick the lock.
What?
Somehow. It's a trained rat. That's all I know. But that sounds pretty cool. That you're able to do all of these things within the framework of the game. Now, as for the killer himself, you have chance to pick between, I believe, 5 different types of killer, and really the main difference is the kind of weapon they're using. Like, you've got a chainsaw, a machete, what looks like a spear gun.
There's an axe, a bat with a nail in it.
I'm a fan of the bat with a nail in it. That would be the one I would choose if I'm playing the killer. Now, the thing about it is, well, this is a horror movie game, so doesn't that mean the killer is overpowered? And the actual answer is no. What they ended up making him, as far as balancing the character out, the way they made him is that, one, he's super physically powerful, but he's incredibly slow. Not unlike, say, Jason or Michael Myers.
Yeah, the killer always just walks and somehow manages to catch up to you because, you're going to trip and fall or whatever.
Well, the cool thing about this game is that they've actually developed a mechanic that feeds into that, the way that works in a movie. They've got a mode which they call Predator mode, which shouldn't be confused with the Batman Arkham Asylum version of Predator mode.
Or Predator mode in Aliens vs. Predator.
Exactly. Basically, what it does is, say you're playing as one of the killers. What happens is, you go into Predator mode, you despawn, and you're able to move very fast and go past the survivors through walls and end up in another room. And then, respawn there, because the way they're trying to push the game, the focus is on stealth and the element of surprise if you're playing as a killer. Now, is this going to be a cool game? I think so.
I think so. Again, it's that same sort of feeling of Left 4 Dead.
No, Left 4 Dead is what I'm going to do at the end of the show, yeah.
Left 4 Dead 2, I really like the versus play there, but what's really unique about it is that with voice chat support, I noticed in Left 4 Dead 2, I guess unless you're getting onto a TeamSpeak server, then really everybody's voice chat, you can hear everybody talking to each other, and that includes both teams. Well, this one has open voice chat plus survivors only channel, so that the survivors can talk to each other, but you're not hearing the chatter from the killer. So
or vice versa, the killer can't hear the survivors.
Yeah.
Which is good, because I can't tell you how many games of Left 4 Dead 2 we've played where we're playing in the same room, zombies versus survivors, and then you've got your zombie cheater who's looking over at somebody else's monitor or listening to someone saying, "Oh, go this way down the hallway." Okay, now I know where to spawn. And then there you go, you get picked off.
Right. I like that it looks like they're also going to have Oculus support. Man, I can't imagine how scary that would be to actually be, looking around and then suddenly, the killer's right behind me! It actually looks like you're getting stalked by someone.
Yeah.
That would be a really scary experience.
That would be pretty scary. And the thing is, now with, things like The Evil Within and Five Nights at Freddy's, horror is still selling in video game form. Now, for this game in particular, you're looking at a PC. They're looking for that to be their platform. Is that going to be pretty good? Yeah, I would think so, because some people prefer having a controller there, and sure enough, if you want to, you can set up your controller to your PC. That's not a problem. By this point, I think I'm becoming more converted towards using more PC gaming than I used to be. Because I'll admit, I'm a casual gamer. I make no qualms about that. But as a casual gamer, I like things that are more cinematic movie based, and this is right up my alley.
Yeah, I would imagine you'd really be interested in this, and it probably wouldn't take being a hardcore gamer in order to do this.
Now, I'm thinking about it, though. With a game like this, this is a great start, but what would it take to make this thing bigger, expand it out?
What would it take to make it bigger? I would imagine getting support from people within the horror movie
community.
Community. Get producers of horror movies to be like, "Hey, I saw where this is going, and this sounds really awesome, and I'm gonna publicly show my support of this."
Well, what I'm thinking more is, say you have a new horror movie coming out, and they did official patches for this game.
That would be cool.
That would be pretty cool. Because you think of it in the same way you think of, well, why don't they just make another Left 4 Dead? Because what does it take? New maps, new characters. What'll keep this thing alive is if they let us know we have plans for extra maps and extra characters, whether it be survivors or
new
killers down the road. Like, if they could officially get... Because, Rob Zombie will jump at the chance to get
I was going to say Rob Zombie, actually.
He'd be like, hey, I'll put up the money so you can stick in Michael Myers. Just throw some money at it. And then, boom, there you go. But that's after we're already able to throw some money at it and get this thing off the ground.
So they're talking about expanding it into being a bigger game with more details than we already have. But, of course, they need to get the money to launch it first. So again, there's another 35 days left to go. 1/10 of the way there with 35 days left isn't all that bad. It still seems pretty reasonable. I think it could still be done.
I look at it this way. They're asking for a minimum pledge of $1 Canadian, which is pretty close to $1 US. Just look at it this way. If you just put in $10, you get a copy of the game when it comes out. Think about it. That's the kind of thing you look for in a Steam sale.
Right.
That's like doing a Steam sale ahead of time. If that's all it takes is $10, I'd put down $10 for a game. I just put down $10 for a game last night, finally.
Finally.
Fantasy. It was Final Fantasy.
It was Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn. That's what it was. Which is absolutely not like a survival horror game by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, if you play like me and play stupid, then yeah, it's survival horror.
Yeah, you make me scared for my character constantly because for some reason you decide, oh, you're fighting that enemy? Allow me to stop fighting it with you and I'll go fight an enemy of my own and then you leave me to die. So thanks. Survival horror playing with this guy all the time.
So that's why I like this survival horror game, because it's interesting, and the bottom line being, it would be fun. So yes, you guys have the link there. You guys can check it out. Hopefully we'll remember to put that link in the YouTube version of this show.
I think that can be arranged.
Yes, so you guys go ahead and check that out. This is a pretty cool game that you guys can hopefully contribute to.
Okay, shut up.
Shut up. Okay, moving on to our second story. This guy.
Who is this guy, Josh?
This is Chappie. This is the third major movie from Neil Blomkamp, who people would know, of course, from District 9 and last year's Elysium.
I didn't hate Elysium, but it was just kind of there. It existed. I liked Jodie Foster. I was okay with Jodie Foster.
Well, it's the thing, ever since District 9, this guy has been the go-to guy, like, okay, you want some new science fiction? This guy.
Some science fiction that also, it almost seems like, whoa, this could really happen.
Well, because you look at District 9...
In our kind of, these are real-world problems that have also brought forth, well, what future problems can we also bring to the picture?
Well, because you look at District 9, and that's a story about, basically, separatism, between, people who move in saying, oh, we know what's best for you, and then those people being subjugated. We see all of that in footage today if you tune into friggin' CNN. You look at Elysium, that's about class warfare, and of course there's a ton of that now, too. Now, with Chappie, we're looking at a different sort of... I think more roundabout concept of just being different and being an outcast.
Yeah, and this is, what movie were you suggesting that this was like the spiritual successor to?
This, I'm not quite sure yet, because I see overtones in it of, say, like, AI, artificial intelligence, from Spielberg.
Right.
But at the same time, it's got this edge to it that I like. And you look at Chappie's design, which you can see here on your screen. To me, there's kind of this Patley Boar feel with the way the antennae are on the back of his head.
They were showing in this article that I was looking at in another page, they show this screenshot from Elysium, and look at the androids that come and stop people from illegally border hopping onto Elysium. They look almost exactly like him, just red.
Well, actually, no. Now I remember that. The other way it feels like is if you took AI or Hugo or whatever other movie you can think of, but really this looks like this generation's version of Short Circuit.
Short Circuit, it looks like it won't be nearly as kiddie. It won't be nearly as jokes everywhere, although those look like they're in there.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like, it's just a sweet robot who's just learning like a child would learning about his environment and what he's capable of doing, but because he is a robot, that means that he's different, and he's the outcast, and you already get in the trailer, I was like, alright, so when is it that people are going to beat him up for being different? And then you see later in the trailer, there's kids throwing rocks at him.
Well, if it looked correct, it looked like they're throwing Molotov cocktails at him.
Yeah, so even more violent than throwing rocks at him. So it looks like the kind of movie that it's going to eventually find its way of making you feel for this otherwise technically inanimate object, although it's been given life by a human being. It's looking like we're starting to push. Once again, sci-fi asks the question, what do we call life? What do we give freedom to?
Well, even they make...
And rights. And
they make that comparison in the movie, like, this would change what it means to be human, breaking
and
boundaries
that's
and things
something that I
like
think
that.
sci-fi has wrestled with all the time, but to give us new perspective every so often on that same question, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because more and more it feels like we're kind of pushing in that direction. We're not nearly to sci-fi levels of that kind of questioning yet, but I feel like we're getting there. I know we've talked a couple of times about robots such as Big Dog and Pet Man, and those aren't AI, mind you. They're not really AI.
Well, you look at Pet Man, I see a similarity between Chappie's design and Pet Man.
Well, yeah, because Pet Man is built like a human so that it knows how to jump or drop down from high surfaces and then rebalance itself as a human with a spine would do, like widen its stance in order to not fall over. It knows how to stay balanced. That's as much AI as it has, mind you. But, we're slowly moving in that direction. It's a little scary, and sci-fi is answering these tough questions that we haven't, in real life, reached yet.
Yeah.
But we could get there the way things are going.
Now, just talking about, movies, again, specifically going back to this, you look at Chappie's movements here, and you were saying you could tell right away it was mocap.
Mm-hmm.
But this is some pretty good mocap. I get, just from these little movements, that this thing that eventually is called Chappie has a childlike mind.
Right.
And there's more expression that's capable there than you could think of in something like, say, Short Circuit, where you were under the constraints of, okay, this is just animatronics at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that will deliver a little better. And yes, there's a little bit of that nice throwback of, they're showing him learning, watching the TV, and there's Prince Adam transforming into He-Man.
Yeah,
and he's emulating the movement.
So you can see there's a more human, a more simple, jovial sort of layer, an innocence in the background of this story that's probably going to get really dark. He's petting a dog. That looked like a rock. It didn't really look like a Molotov.
Well, no, it comes later in the trailer. But yeah, this generally Neil Blomkamp's movies do fairly well. Elysium did fairly well in theaters. I think a little bit better on a DVD release.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's the Molotov cocktail that got thrown at him.
Then we're thinking, okay, well, if he's supposed to be the robot, then there's always a bad guy. There's always the guy who wants to dismantle it or figure out why it works or get rid of it.
And that's Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman.
I was going to say Jackson. That's why I had to stop myself.
No, Hugh Jackson is some other guy down the street who does taxes. Hugh Jackman is an Australian actor.
Huge Assman, got it.
Yes. Like we haven't heard that before.
Nope.
But yes, he's
Only
the one...
every day.
But he's the one who's going to be wanting Chappie off the streets, not running around. And I can't entirely tell what the conflict's going to be.
Yeah, I can't tell what Jackman's motivation is as of yet for wanting him shut down. I can't tell whether it could be for legitimate reasons, like, oh, we can't have this guy running around for X good reason, but I can't tell yet. Trailer doesn't tell you that much, and you know what? I'm okay not knowing just yet if it's still how far next year.
Yeah,
sometime
coming out next year, and I think about it, and when you compare it to like something like say Elysium was a little too, I forget what the phrase is, but big in the cheek about, hey, class warfare. It was too in your face with it.
I see what you're
whereas
saying.
with District 9, and it was a little bit more sensational with, aliens and, separatism. That way it was easier to get in people's heads. Like, you see these aliens put in basically internment camps, but then you think about it later, like, you know what, that was pretty messed up.
Yeah.
But whereas with Elysium, with the class warfare thing, it was so in your face, you don't really think about it.
Mm-hmm.
You end up ignoring it. But I think here with, the whole outcast aspect of Chappie, you're more likely to sympathize with him and I guess the people who it looks like, be helping defend over the course of the movie. Yes.
Yes.
So I think it'll be a pretty good movie. I hope that we'll get more out of it. And again, it should be mentioned that Sharto Copley, he was put on the map with District 9. He was the main character there. Vickis Vander, I forget his full name there, but he was there in District 9. He's there again in Elysium as the bad guy, the main grunt guy who's fighting Matt Damon. And here he's providing the voice of Chappie.
So he works very closely with the director, then, it would seem.
Yes. Generally, he's like his go-to guy. Hey, I'm working on a new project. Oh, so I'm in it, right? Yeah, here you go, here's the script. And it must be nice, like how, you think with Kevin Smith, he's got his go-to people, like Jason, you're in this one. Or Christopher Nolan, Michael Caine, you're on retainer, get over here. And Michael Caine's like, all right, then. So, yes, this will be a good movie to look forward to, coming out March 6th of next year.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Alright, then let's move on to our final story, then.
So, final story revolving around a new game called Overwatch by Blizzard.
So the beta for this is going to be coming out in, February, I believe? I'm pretty sure they said February. So, the idea behind Overwatch is that it's a first-person shooter. It's team-based. I'm noticing quite a lot of similarities to, say, Team Fortress 2. It looks very much like the next Team Fortress.
Right.
But it does look like it has its own personality. Just complete overhaul of the kind of characters that are in it. There are 2 major trailer videos that you can watch right now. One of them is the cinematic trailer, and Blizzard has always had a history of absolutely gorgeous, fantastic-looking, pre-rendered cinematic trailers in everything that they do.
I was looking at that cinematic trailer, and I was thinking, if I didn't already know this was going to be a video game, I would watch that series.
Yeah, and it's a really kind of cool trailer that discusses that there are all these, I guess, hero-type people. I've been trying to understand exactly what it is that they do, but considering it's a Team Fortress-style game, you don't really need a whole heck of a lot of story.
Blizzard did give out a brief press release which explains how the world works. The way it works is, let's see, harnessing the power of their hero of choice, players will join forces in teams of 6 and battle each other across a range of futuristic global locations all over the world. The action of this world takes place in a technologically advanced, highly stylized future Earth. During a time of global crisis, an international task force of soldiers, scientists, adventurers, and oddities who came to be known as Overwatch have come together to restore peace to a war-torn world.
So, basically, crap's going down on Earth. You're a bunch of dudes who make crap stop going down. Really,
basically,
there's not a whole heck of a lot more story to it than that. But the little mini story they did in their pre-rendered video, I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah.
There are these 2 kids who really looked up to the members of Overwatch, one kid more than the other. The older kid basically is going, well, no, they're not who they used to be. They got shut down and they're all washed up.
They're mercenaries. We don't care.
Now. But then they come busting into the museum that they're walking around in, and they're fighting each other, and the kids are like, oh, well, we believe all over again, and it's really cool. And it had a lot of personality and character to it. Very halfway cartoony looking character designs that I actually really liked. And then there's also a gameplay trailer, and that showed me, yeah, this really looks like Team Fortress 2.
Well, really, with the way the maps are set up and how the different characters have...
They're different classes. And
very similar abilities to Team Fortress.
Although the medic style ability, that particular character, she also has, like, angel wings. So she can fly, so that's the difference between her and Team Fortress 2's medic. You've got a chick named Widowmaker, who's a sniper. There's something they've
got this one character who you see in the cinematic trailer called Tracer, and her ability seems very similar to that of the characters from Edge of Tomorrow, where if she gets killed, she can rewind and go back to where she was a second ago and not get killed.
I imagine she can only do that so many times.
Or you have to charge it, basically. Which would be fine, that puts a cap on how many times you can do that.
Yeah, it makes her not overpowered or not unable to die.
We've got this archer named Hanzo. He's
very Japanese. In fact, I think we heard him spout a Japanese sentence near the end of the trailer.
Couldn't make out what exactly he was saying, but he does have this cool ability where if he shoots an arrow off to a certain area, he can see through walls and fire an arrow in that particular direction. So
I wasn't sure what that was all about, but I'd like more details on it. I'd be interested in signing up for the beta.
Oh, absolutely. Now, the thing about it is, we're making a lot of comparisons here to Team Fortress 2.
I don't think that we are going to be the only people doing it either.
Right. But you think about it, though.
Heck, the engineer-like dude, he hammers a turret into existence. Just like the engineer, who uses a wrench to do it, but all the same. It's a few things are looking pretty darn similar.
And then you've got this giant gorilla character called Winston, which... admittedly, he looks pretty cool. He's like the main character in the cinematic trailer, but then he's capable of going into this berserker rage. Which
in the cinematic trailer, it looked like that was triggered by his glasses being broken, because this is a gorilla that for some reason needs to wear, I don't know, what appear to be bifocals. I can't tell. Reading glasses. He gets pissed when they get stepped on and broken, and then he turns red, and his eyes turn red, and then, I'm a gorilla. So,
yeah, but it was really freaking cool, because he's a gorilla in armor.
And he talks.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that's appealing. But you think about it, though, how long has Valve been just sitting on Team Fortress 2?
They can keep releasing new hats, and people will keep playing it to collect new hats.
But that's the thing.
Or build new weapons, because now people who play Team Fortress 2, as of recent years, have been able to create their own in-game weapons, and then sell it through Valve. You can purchase new, unique, interesting weapons through Valve, and Valve gets some of the profit, and you as the creator of the weapon get some of the profit. So that's how they've been continuing to stay alive. That and going free-to-play and not having to purchase really helped keep Team Fortress 2 alive.
But the thing about it, though, is I see this actually taking its place. I honestly do. Because, one, you've got the backing of Blizzard. They may not have exact... Would you say they have giraffe money?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, easily.
Okay, so they've got the finances...
You can think, if all they had to live on from this point on to eternity was World of Warcraft, they would never die. All they would need to live is World of Warcraft. But you know what? Thank God they're doing things other than World of Warcraft.
Right, which I'm actually happy with.
They're about to release the new expansion for WoW, too. So, seriously, they don't need other games. But here they are making other games, so good on them.
Now, stop me if I'm wrong. This is their first-person shooter, correct?
To my knowledge, yes. Somebody could probably correct me on that if I'm wrong, but I'm remembering other games and other RTSs and side-scrollers, but I'm not remembering first-person shooters.
Well, you think about it, though. The point I'm trying to make is Valve is resting on their laurels with Team Fortress 2, putting out the minimal amount of work to keep the game going, and then relying on the fans to keep it going and keep it popular. Whereas this is a whole new package. They've taken the mold and then just changed what they need to where they don't have to worry about copyright infringement. And then they've got this whole new game, add a few new mechanics, some cool designs. This will sell.
Oh, sure it will.
This will be popular. I don't believe they said whether or not they're going console or... or PC?
I would bank on PC because really the only game that Blizzard has released on console as of late has been Diablo 3.
And that was after.
That was long after PC.
Right.
They haven't gone back to console, strictly console, in years. Decades, even.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I would bank on PC. Bank, like, lots of money.
Yes, lots of money.
Lots of money.
And the thing, for me, as a cosplay enthusiast and, you know, cosplayer as well, I can't wait to see people doing these costumes. You know, seeing a Winston walking around a convention, you know, with glowing red eyes. You know, that would be cool to see.
That would be cool.
These guys could win some awards if you do this. They've got that,
They could take it to BlizzCon.
They could take it to...
And BlizzCon gives lots of money for their costumes.
Oh, you're right. You could meet Metallica.
that was one thing that really blew my mind this past BlizzCon. Like, yeah, we're gonna close out BlizzCon by having rock legends Metallica play us out. And I'm like, well, that's cool. Why are they there? Like, what does... Because when I think StarCraft, I think Metallica.
When I think World of Warcraft, I think trolls, and Lars Ulrich kind of looks like a troll. Is that the reasoning? I don't quite understand.
Forget it.
No? Okay.
No, just stop trying.
So yes, if you guys get a chance, take a look at this thing. It looks pretty fun. That's the bottom line.
I bet now you can sign up for the beta. I know somewhere on that page they have the website somewhere. It's definitely in the trailers.
Yes, it's playoverwatch.com.
Playoverwatch.com, and I'd be pretty willing to bet that you can sign up for the beta already. So
I'll go ahead and put that in the chat. Boom. There you go.
There it is, and we'll link you guys on YouTube to it as well.
Yes. So, yeah, that's pretty much our third story, and I think we saved enough time just here at the end to give a little bit of room to talk about why we were off last week.
Yeah, so last week we were filming for Saraba, Fami Kamen Rider,
Farewell Fami Kamen Rider.
Both of which, by the way, are interchangeable names, and I think they will both be used on screen at the exact same time, just for a Japanese or an American audience. So Matt Burkett, also known as Apollo Z-Hack on his Monstrosities vlog, he was very kind to fly out, on his own dime, mind you, to be our suit actor for the part of the Fami Kamen Rider, and that meant the world to us. It means that our movie is really becoming a reality, that this dream that Justin had can at least make public in some form, you know, and I feel like we're finally doing right by our friend, and it was a hard weekend.
It was a hard weekend.
It was one that I really want to thank our guys for a lot, because, of course, Josh has, you know, done theater for years and years and years. Matt has done a number of his own smaller video productions as well. I did 4 years worth of Channel Awesome anniversaries, and so I was pretty well aware of, like, alright guys, these could be really long shoots, you guys are gonna hate me, some of you will be sitting there doing nothing for hours, whereas when we do finally use you, you'll be just working like friggin' workhorses.
And they did it, and everybody was in such a good mood afterward that surprised me.
Yeah, it did surprise me, because I thought everybody was just gonna be so pissed.
Yeah.
Like the days... One day we filmed for almost 11 hours.
11 plus hours.
I'm not even joking. We had a long day, and we got so much done, and there's still so much to do.
Like, we have to go back and do some reshoots, but still more shoots at the locations we were at.
To fill in other gaps. What we mostly needed, since we only had Matt for a couple of days, we just needed to make sure that every possible shot of Matt in costume was taken care of, and then we'll fill in the rest of it later, whether he's here or not, you know.
Which we're fully capable of doing, thankfully, and we can't thank him enough for his contributions to the project thus far. Like, I can't even begin to tell you, that guy does work.
Yeah, he does.
Absolutely.
And for that, man, and he's going to be doing further work, as we've announced previously, helping out with visual effects, and he has a couple other people that he is also wrangling in on his end to help him finish those visual effects. And so, at this point, I do want to show you that it's not all just talk, that we do have something.
Yeah, because we know we've been talking about this for months, and we've been teasing it, and yeah, there's a lot we've been working on.
And there's still a lot to do, and this may not look like too terribly much to you, but to us, this picture that we're going to show you means everything.
Yes.
This shows us that this is becoming a reality, that there is life being breathed into these characters finally. And I'm so glad to show you, well, this is an image of our Fami Kamen Rider. And that is not it. That's not it.
That's
not it. It's that one.
This is it, guys. The first ever screenshot from our Fami Kamen Rider movie. I know it's not much right now, but this is showing you guys that, yeah, this was being filmed. We can at least tell you this is during the climactic fight scene between the Fami Kamen Rider and our villain, who has yet to be revealed.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we can't tell you how much it meant to us to be able to see him there in suit in front of us. It was just, it's surreal.
Absolutely surreal. And I think the first time we saw him put everything together, because we first put him in like jacket and gloves and helmet, and we were like, oh wow. But then on the day of the shoot was the first time he like put on the rest of the, the bodysuit and the boots and everything all together, and we had to take a step back and go, just kind of, oh my god,
yeah,
this is important, this is real.
Yes. So this is the first of many. Hopefully over the next month or two, we'll be able to show you guys, leading up to MagFest, more screenshots, more characters, more everything, really. That way you guys can see what we've been, really by this point, I think we're safe in saying what we've been so proud of this last weekend.
Yeah, and we still got more work to go, but it's really happening. Matt,
and it couldn't have happened without you guys.
And Matt has shown us some
test
footage that he's put together of the visual effects, and I think you guys are going to be pleased, and I think it will really bring honor to the idea that Justin originally came up with. So that is basically where we wanted to leave things off as far as this bracket of the show is concerned. And of course, if you're here live with us right now, go ahead and stick with us. We're going to stick with you for an additional half an hour so that we can go through Q&A stuff. You guys on YouTube, you should be down here with us on Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Central over on hitbox.tv/MarsGirl, so that we can also interact with you guys too.
Yes.
That would make us very happy.
Very happy.
And again, thank you to all of our patrons. And if for some reason you want to ask us any other questions, not only on Thursday nights, but throughout the week, you can always follow us on Twitter. I'm at MarsGirl.
And I'm at Josh Knight First.
And that's it for our reboot opening of Season 4, and we'll be seeing you guys next week.
This has been Beyond the Black Rims. We'll see you guys in 1 week.
Night.